people in charge of the Committee on Water, I think Honorable Pategi.
Yes.
So he did say some time ago that it will be passed in June.
Well, the House of Representatives have done their bit. Now, the two houses have to yeah. So the Senate is the Senate version they're waiting for. Well, the Senate will now harmonize, and once they pass it, then it becomes the final document that will go to the President for accept. I would say more than 90% of the work has been done, probably because of other schedules within the National Assembly, within the Senate. They might not have been able to finish, but we are following up, and we are hopeful that it will be passed very soon. The water resources policy, the law derives most of the principles of the provisions from the National Water Resources Policy. Key things there, one we've mentioned, that the policy recognizes that water is an economic commodity that must be paid for. That's number one. Number two, it brings all the other laws, the River Basin Act, the Water Act, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Act, together all under one document. And it has taken care of some of the overlaps, because we have certain laws like NIWA. In NIWA Act, we have certain provisions in our environmental laws that have been in conflict with some of the Water Resources Act. These have all been streamlined. But two other important issues, or three, that are in this bill or law as it would be. Number one, that we're going to have a regulator. There's a provision for a regulator for the water supply sector, similar to what you have in the power sector. So that with that, the private sector now has the opportunity now exists for the private sector to come in and participate in delivery of water supply.
What are the water boards supposed to do?
The water boards, and that's very important. A lot of people see the Minister of Water Resources and ask him, there is no water in my tap.
Yes.
Some time ago, somebody phoned me that they had plumbing problem in their house.
So you should come fix it.
Things like that. They don't seem to understand that we are dealing with policy. Provision of water supply is entirely 100% the prerogative of the states, and that's why they have the state water boards. What we are trying to do now, under the reforms we've been trying to do, is to get them to corporatize the water boards so that they behave like commercial entities, not government agencies, because the fact that they'll be working as government agencies has made it very difficult for them to generate the kind of revenue they need to maintain the systems and reinvest to expand and improve the water supply situation. So we feel that there has to be some kind of partnership as it obtains in many countries of the world. Maybe the state retains the infrastructure, and maybe you can have some management contracting system whereby the private sector takes charge of billing and so on, and even the treatment and distribution. That's the kind of thing we are looking at. Lagos Water Corporation and Kaduna State are leading the way now in that. In fact, I just came back from an international event where the two water agencies got an award in recognition of the effort they've been making. They have considerably increased their revenue generation because they've corporatized. They are now having a management contract, performance-based, and these are the kind of reforms that we'll be working on, and we hope other states will follow suit. And they're working, I think a lot of states are doing that, but only that the pace is not as fast as I would want it.
Okay, because with what you've explained now, perhaps for the benefit of our viewers, the Ministry of Water Resources is just a policy. The policy angle to it, isn't it?
Yes.
But with what you are vying for, there should be a water regulator, just like you have in power, like
Absolutely.
what NEC is,
Absolutely.
Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Then you are also trying to see if you can invite private sector. There should be like PPP kind of arrangement.
Absolutely.
Which I'll come to in a bit. For those of you that are watching us and you want to ask the minister any question, feel free to do that. He's here with me right now, so buzz me. All you need to do is to send me a tweet. Find me on Twitter at Nancy Ilo. Find us also on Twitter, MoneyLineWithnancy, and drop your comments for the Honorable Minister. You've heard the Minister say that water is an economic commodity. I like that. You know, anything concerning economy just tweaks me, as it were, to be paid for. But some of our viewers may not, agree to that. If you don't agree, send the Minister to a question why you do not agree. All right, let's quickly move ahead. I do also know that you have the Youth Empowerment Program, which you launched in the 12 river basins. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, again, it's part of the reforms that we really want the river basins to be relevant to the people. I think the founding fathers, those that initiated the idea of river basins, wanted them to be the catalyst for rural development. And also, of course, supporting agriculture, and by so doing, providing job opportunities. And we came at a time when there is a serious crisis related to jobs and employment. And the focus of this administration is to improve on our agricultural production. So we saw an opportunity in the river basins to provide a platform for youth to be trained in irrigation, in agricultural practice, because the river basins have irrigation systems that can be done all year round. Even in the dry season, there is water available for them to cultivate. And that's why we brought this idea of a youth empowerment program. We created some guidelines for it and instructed all the river basins to start it. The scheme is designed to take 50 graduates at a time, or youth. It doesn't have to be a university graduate, but anybody that is interested in agriculture. They will be taken by the river basins, given some training, also be given some stipend. And at the end of the day, if land is available, there can also be land can be leased out to them. But we're doing it in such a way that it's an agribusiness, so that the interns or the youth will have to learn also management practices and financial practices, so they can sell, they can account, and in future pay back certain things, such some of the income that they've made. We started this program in 2016, but like I said, unfortunately in 2017 we had to change the management, because the previous management was the one that the government inherited, and we had to bring in, based on the reforms, we had to bring in new sets of people. Of course, we retained some, but we had to change almost all the managing directors and a lot of the executive directors. And the situation stalled a little bit because they needed to get their acts together. Now we have, at that material time, we're also discussing with Songhai farms in Cotonou, and we have now fused the youth empowerment program with the Songhai program, because it provides training for sustainable irrigation, and that is what is going on now. In fact, all the river basin development authorities have in their 2017 budget. We made sure that they made provision in the 2017 budget, and many of them are already working with the Songhai team, trying to create these experimental farms and for the training of the youth. And this we want to continue. We have started now as pilots. Some river basins have 1 or 2, but the whole idea is in future we'll continue to work until we have at least 1 Songhai model school in each of the 109 senatorial districts of the country.
Talk to me about irrigation. I did ask you earlier about the irrigation policy, because I know that your ministry also collaborates with other ministries like agriculture, environment, and all of that. So you are manning a ministry that you've got to talk with your colleagues in other ministry. Let me ask you about your collaboration first before we go into irrigation.
Well, we collaborate very much, Ministry of Agriculture, of course, under the irrigation system, in the sector, where we have a lot of collaboration. I'm sure the quantum leap we have had in rice production would not have happened without the river basins, because a lot of the land that is being irrigated, it's river basin land and river basin dams, and that's why we want to accelerate this irrigation program. The policy is there. I think the main feature of the policy is that we now want to empower farmers. Before, it used to be that the federal government or state government would just come and build an